5 or one of our best. I guess we're not gonna do like a whole list of all the
Yep.
Jokers because there's so many. I guess we'll just go the ones that like we, I guess, grown up on, like from the cartoon animated series to the movies that have been on since 1991 and now.
Yeah.
So
Do you want to do like your top three
yeah, I was
Jokers, or and then
I
I'll say
think
my top three and we talk about it?
yeah, I would say yeah, we'll do top 3 because I think top 5 would kind of be really hard.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well,
uh,
I'll let you go first.
all right, well, I'll kick off my number one. It's hands down Mark Hamill because I grew up with the animated series, the Batman animated series, and the Justice League and all that stuff. So like, I mean, Mark Hamill, Batman or not Batman, as Joker, and just how he just speaks as the Joker. It's like, well, like in that laugh too. Like the moment you hear that laugh, like that's Mark Hamill, like right there. And he played a lot in the video games too, like Arkham Asylum series too, which I thought that was pretty sweet. And they had the guy who voiced Batman in the animated series, and he did it in the video game series. So those two duos they worked together. They worked together for I don't know how many years, maybe 20, 30 plus years, man. But I think the Batman voice actor said I'll still voice act until I can't anymore. So I
Yeah. I mean,
respect
he's
that.
been doing. He did the voice in the Arkham games too, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly.
Yep, he did. Not the Arkham Origins one. That shitty one. He did he did
Arkham
the
Knight.
Arkham Knight. Yeah, that one, the new one. So yeah, Mark Hamill, hands down, will always be top tier one. And these two right here, these two are like probably like you could go right either way, but I think my second choice would be Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's like number two is because he brought a whole like uh what's that? What is that? Word like chaos and mayhem into that role because the animated series like Joker's he's a goof but he's like a very like mean character in that as mean as you can be in a cartoon you got to be PG so you can't just be just you know looking all menace and everything like that but man when we saw the performance of the Dark Knight huh like he was the best in that whole entire movie because like I know it was a Batman film but whenever we want to see more Joker um yeah Heath Ledger I think he's number two Joker of all time. Just how he, especially I think what sold to me when he did the interrogation, with Batman in the jail cell, like that's what was kind of like he was the Joker, and especially when he got punched, and he's just kind of like, haha, like you can't threaten me with anything. He's like, well, he's right. Like you have nothing to threaten me with. As you can beat the shit out of me all you want, but you know, I still have all the cards, and I won't tell you anything until you kill someone. So that was dope. And I think the next one would be Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and that was a very different take on it. And actually, he had a because like in all the Jokers, we never really know like his origin, his name, anything like that. So it was kind of like really weird seeing like, oh, we have an origin Joker, and that was pretty good. And like how I was like, I wonder how he got his menacing laugh, and I kind of dig that they actually explained it. It's like a psychological thing or something. So whenever he gets stressed or something, he'll start cracking up. So I was kind of like, okay, that's a good explanation to what he did. And then the whole like I remember there was one dark humor joke I laughed in the theater and I was kind of like, wow, I'm a terrible person because I thought it was funny. I remember I'll never forget it because I remember I was like and it was like it was
Let me guess what it is. When he kills the one guy, and then there's the little person who's got to open the door.
no
What is
it
it
no it
talking
was
about?
a no it was actually one of his journal entries where he was telling a joke. It wasn't that
Oh,
yet. It wasn't that part was funny. It was
yeah.
yeah, it was like it was an actual like one of his stand up jokes he was writing in his book. And I was kinda like, oh that was funny. And then it turned out to be I was kinda like, wow, I'm an evil person. Um but yeah, I think Walking Phoenix he did a great job and is there any news that are they doing a sequel to that? Because I know he doesn't do sequels.
Yeah,
Walking
so I
Phoenix.
haven't heard anything about an official sequel, but I really think, and we've talked about the new Batman movie and the trailer for that. That's got to be coming out soon, like in the next year. I would love to see, based off of what we're seeing there, because I think it's going to be a rated R Batman.
It better be.
I would love to. I would love to see, Phoenix's Joker in that world. I think it would mix really well.
I think it would make more sense. And plus too, like in the like Batman universe, Joker's older than Batman, so it'll kind of make more sense.
Yeah,
I guess the other thing is too was that I remember reading a thing on about the Joker was saying that Joaquin Phoenix will only come back if like the original director came back. So if he's not back, then he's not doing it. I remember hearing something like that saying I will only come back if like the original, people that made the movie come back to this and make the sequel. I remember reading something about that. But yeah, those are my top three Jokers would be Mark Hamill, Heath Ledger, and Joaquin Phoenix. Those are my top three Jokers. Honorable mentions, nobody, because Jared Leto's Joker's ass. Jared Leto's Joker's ass. The guy with the bat from the Adam West one with the tape mustache.
Cesar Romero,
Yeah, I could care less.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah,
I was say Jack. I forgot. I would say Jack Nicholson. I mean, he was okay for what it is. It was just, I guess from like I didn't see the early Jack Nicholson films. Like I remember just seeing him in like very like
So you never saw him like in The Shining?
I saw him in The Departed.
Yeah, you got to watch The Shining. Jesus, Gib, watch The Shining and come back to me.
I just know
Jack Nicholson is one of the
here's
greatest
Johnny.
actors of all time.
That is the only movie quote I remember from that movie. But yeah, I mean, he did a good job in that movie too. I'm not dogging him. It's just that compared to like, other Jokers, like Heath Ledger was different from the other Jokers that we've seen over the years, and just how he just appeared in that movie, with like the scars on his face, and just how like demonized he looked. I think that's what sold me too. And then he always would make a joke, and he always would change the stories about how I got these scars, which I thought it was like pretty awesome too. He always would change the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are my top three. Changed my mind.
All right. So, first off, best Joker line of all time. We gotta ask you that question.
The best Joker line?
Yeah.
Why so serious?
No, the best one is who's gonna give you a reach around.
I completely forgot about that.
I gotta say, in defense of Jared Leto, the new Snyder Cut, which we could talk about that if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, I guess
the new Snyder Cut is fantastic.
Forgot to talk about the Jared Leto one. Okay, if we're gonna talk about Jared Leto Joker, I would pick Snyder Cut Joker over Suicide Joker, Suicide Squad Joker, because there is night and day between those two Jokers. And I gotta say, after seeing the Snyder Cut Joker, if they would have done Jared Leto's Joker from the Snyder Cut, would have been a completely different Joker in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean the Suicide Squad is just shot totally different. The way they cut it up at the beginning, and they've got to give an origin story of 9 different characters. There's a lot of problems with that movie, and I honestly don't think Jared Leto's Joker's that bad, except like the club scene where he's kind of like this meth head kind of guy. But like, yeah, when you look at the Justice League, the newest, the Snyder Cut, Joker is just fantastic. I mean, there's everything's good about what's going on there. He's messing psychologically with him. He flat out jokes about killing Robin to Joker. I mean, that's what the whole conversation is going back and forth about, him killing Robin.
Yeah.
And it goes into like, if you know the lore, like obviously we're talking about what is the big time
Flashpoint.
That whole thing is centered on the Flashpoint paradox, but they're talking all the stuff that he's talking to Batman about is all the Killing Joke, and how that goes into him killing Robin, and then Robin ends up coming back into be spoilers the Red Hood, and the Red Hood is really Joker's original persona when he's not even a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like a clown or something, like he's actually a clown.
He was actually he was a comedian before. He was a comedian.
He is a comedian. Yeah. So I love that. I mean, he's definitely not in my top three, but I think this new one really showed a couple things of like, oh, this is what they could have done with this character, and it really is a shame, kind of just going off the top of Justice League, but it is a shame what they did with that movie, and I think it would have been a lot better if Snyder would have stayed with it.
Oh,
But yeah,
most definitely.
going into my top three, I'd have to say that yeah, I love Mark Hamill as the Joker. He's still number one for me. And it's not just because. Do I think the acting of Mark Hamill as a Joker is better than um, Heath Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix? I don't think so, but like it's just so true to the character. It's the most true to the character that you can get, and it's the closest to the comics that you can get. And I love every aspect about it. He's still good. He's still got like the joke. The one of my favorite lines is when he's talking about the IRS. He's like, even I'm not crazy enough to mess with them. It's like one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite lines in the animated series. But when it comes down to the 2 and 3 spot here, I honestly think I'm going to give it to Joaquin Phoenix for number 2, and not Heath Ledger. I know it's like blasphemy, but I think the longer we look at the Dark Knight, the more I look at him and say we are like glorifying Heath Ledger's performance way too much. I mean, obviously I don't think you get Phoenix's performance without Ledger, but I like that movie better, and I like the acting. Phoenix is a better actor than Heath Ledger, hands down, and I think he acted better in Joker than in The Dark Knight. You talked about how it's kind of an origin story, and I'd agree, it's kind of an origin story. And you kind of talked about how Heath Ledger throughout the whole movie is talking about how he got these scars, and he keeps changing his story all the time. And the Joker, on first glance, is kind of like, oh, that's a pretty straightforward story. He's kind of this guy who lives at home with his mom, and he's got a lot of mental problems. And it's like, it's not exactly everything that's going on there. Like, there's this whole subplot with Batman and Batman, Thomas Wayne, and Thomas Wayne might be his dad, and now he might be Batman's brother. And then you have him going directly to Thomas Wayne, who says his mom's crazy. Then you have these papers that say that he wasn't crazy, that she was crazy. And then you have these letters that are from Thomas Wayne that are like love letters to his mom that he sees. So like at the end of the day, you watch that movie and you don't really know whether or not that's true. I like to think it is because it's more comic booky, but
It'd be a
that's
different.
a
It'd be a
word.
different like plot they would do. Doesn't have to be true to the
Yeah,
origin. It'd be like something a little different. You know, they can do their own way. You know,
yeah, and I like how it's
I would love to see that. You know, having like Bruce Wayne as Joker's brother, that would have been
yeah, it's a
pretty
totally
crazy.
different dynamic than I would ever expected. And then I like the story more than the Dark Knight. I think the Dark Knight is definitely more rewatchable, but Joker is it's crazy like how realistic it is. Like the gunshots pop. Like obviously full spoiler warnings throughout this whole thing, but when he kills the actor who's like the Jimmy Kimmel or Johnny Carson of the show, he shoots him,
Oh,
and
Robert De
like
Niro.
the way that yeah, Robert De Niro, when he kills Robert De Niro in that movie, he like the way it's shot and the way it is almost exactly like it would happen in real life. Like it looks so real, and everything that happens, as crazy as it is, it doesn't seem that out of out of touch with reality.
Hmm.
Again, this is a movie that'll never get nominated for an Oscar, but I could see this happening way more than I can see, you know, a Japanese family moving in with another Japanese family than systematically killing everybody. So, spoiler for Parasite, or not systematically killing everybody, but like locking people in their basements, and you got to watch that whole thing. Um, so yeah, I'd have to give it to Phoenix. I like his portrayal better. It's a little bit more realistic. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can think the acting isn't better in that movie. So it depends on how you're looking at it. Like I think Heath Ledger might be more accurate to like strictly to the comics. That does fit better with the comics than Phoenix, but they're both. It's just so good. I'm so glad
Plus,
I'm so glad that movie came out well.
before this whole pandemic started.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it was cool to see. Not cool to see, but like it was awesome to see like the origin of how Joker came to be, and then how that ended up fitting in, obviously with this whole brother situation with Batman, but also the murder of Thomas Wayne at the end, and how it paralleled a lot of like the riots that are happening in last summer. And there's a lot of things that were happening around that time, like riots and stuff for that kind of thing with Antifa and things like that, that kind of mirrored a lot of the stuff that happened at the end of this movie. And I thought it was really good. I feel like the critics did not give it any praise at all.
I don't think they
And
did. They just kind of, you know, I think because wasn't there like some kind of like shooting or something across the, and they were saying, oh, it's we're doing it because of the Joker launch or something like that. I know it was like publicity for the movie, and they were saying like they had like, because I remember going to see it in theaters, they had like a bunch of cops at the theaters making sure, you know, no one brought a gun into the theater, things like that. I remember that. I remember that like on a weekend when the movie was supposed to launch. I just remember like there was policemen at the different theaters. Hopefully there was no shooting. Excuse me, involved. I remember that because that was like publicity for the movie.
yeah. No, I mean overall, I think we've been blessed the last 2 decades with some great Jokers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know like the Joaquin and Heath Ledger, you can't go wrong with like, you know, your the placement, because it's so difficult to, you know, write those two different Jokers. But I will say though, I do love Joaquin's like actual like outfit when he becomes the Joker. It's not like, you know, straight up like violet purple. It has like that it has that look from from a cartoon, from one of the animated like shows, or maybe it was, I can't remember. But yeah, I really dig his outfit in the when he became the Joker. And I remember seeing like, you know, the first time he put on the makeup and everything, like it wasn't, you know, as we expected, but then the more you watched it, then it grew on you as you, and then like, and then he wore that clown makeup too when he was working, so I was like, oh, okay, so that makes more sense now, you know. Yeah, that would say, I know our, you know, for Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger order would be the tough one for us, just to put two,
and I'd say it's pretty
two.
interchangeable too. It's hard to rank them, but for sake of different opinion, I'll just say I'll say Phoenix is better.
Yeah, the number one line of Joker, "Guy, you don't get the old reach around."
It's rough.